It really does mean a lot to us. We're a very small nonprofit. So anything that anybody does for us really, really helps a great deal. We have a lot of programs. Our organization was started by a burn survivor himself. He was in a military helicopter crash. They were down in Central America. He was on a mapping expedition, and his helicopter actually didn't even take off. It crashed before it even took off, and it fell over into several oil barrels, and so it exploded. That was back in the late 50s, and the burn unit at SAMC had really just started not too long after World War II, and so it became a premier burn unit really in the world. And so he was fortunate enough to be up there and be taken care of up here. They flew him up here from Central America. But he was in the hospital for 3.5 years, and in and out for, he had over 22 surgeries, and he went back and forth many, many times for rehabilitation. They had to rebuild his ears, his eyelids. He lost all the digits on both of his hands. That's not unusual in fires. So they had to rebuild. And this is my favorite story about him, and I think it kind of informs the character that founded this organization. He told his doctors he didn't care what else they rebuilt on him. He wanted his middle finger rebuilt on his right hand. Maybe not for exactly the reason you might think. He was a helicopter pilot. And one of the things that he did for therapy, he had one of his men bring in the throttle from the helicopter. And that's what he used as a part of his rehabilitation. So if he had his middle finger on his right hand, he could go back to flying helicopters and he could grip a golf club. And you know what? He went back and flew missions in Vietnam after 3.5 years, burned 70% over his body. So I think that gives you a little idea of kind of the history and the strength. We lost both him and his wife last year, but they were in their 80s and amazing, amazing people. The way I got to know him, actually, some of you may know that I taught Stephanie when she was at MacArthur, and I was very fortunate to have students like Stephanie. But then I went on to practice law for quite a long time. He was a lawyer in the same firm, so I got to work with him in that way as well. And then when I left the practice of law, they needed somebody to run the organization. That was they said, just come for about 6 months and get us reorganized and get the business straightened out. Why they thought I could do business, I don't know. But they knew I could talk, and I do what that is. And so that was at the end of 2007. I said either I didn't do a very good job of straightening it out, and I'm still working on that, or I just really loved what I did, and the latter really is the case. So what y'all have done to help us tonight is just with one of our programs. But I have to admit it's one of our favorite programs, and it really is one of the main reasons that the James formalized the organization as a 501c3, because back then little bitty kids were treated at the burn unit at SAMC as well. And so they continued to volunteer long after he was released from the hospital. But it just broke their hearts to see these little children who were suffering so much. They wanted to give them a little piece of joy and a little opportunity to be together, just to be kids, for nobody to stare at them, nobody to point fingers, just for them to be kids. And so that's when they started Camp David. And this will be our 21st year of camp. It is a time for kids. Some of the kids that come to our camp, it's the only time of the year that they'll wear shorts. It's the only time of the year they will wear swimsuits and actually go swimming. Because otherwise, people stare at them, point at them, call them unimaginable names. And so when they're at camp, everybody looks the same. Everybody's had the same experience. And they're just there to have fun. And that's what we stress at camp. We want them to have fun. But another kind of a sidelight of camp that we've come to learn over the years is that for many of these kids, this is the only time during the summer they're going to eat 3 full meals and have snacks throughout the day, because many of them depend on meals from the school lunches and the school breakfasts. And so when they're at camp, it took me a while to understand that. I was always fortunate to teach in places where poverty was not an extreme issue. But it took me a while to understand why some of these kids were seconds and thirds and fourths, because camp food is camp food no matter where you go. It's okay there, but still. And then finally, as I got to know the kids better, I learned, because this was the time that they really got to eat during the, and so that's when we started really making sure that when we sent stuff home with them, that we stuffed their backpacks. For many of them, these backpacks are the backpacks that they use for school. And so we deal with a lot of kids that just really come from poverty, and that's one of the reasons for some of them that they got into the situations that they did. So I put just some information sheets and pamphlets and some of our newsletters and things back there. And so if you'd like, I encourage you just to get a little more information about us. We do have a lot of programs. We work with Wounded Warriors as well. Have done that long before Afghanistan and Iraq, simply because it's the nature of the beast and working with the military that they have burn injuries from time to time. But we do have special programs for them. We have a mosaic table project at the Warrior and Family Support Center. We do, one of my favorite things. I love it when we're able to get many of the burn survivors together and just give them freedom and peace and a time of refreshing. So at Mother's Day, every Mother's Day weekend, we take usually 25 to 30 Wounded Warrior families to the Mayan Ranch in Bandera. And it's just a Mother's Day weekend where they have fun with the family, and the mothers get manicures and pedicures and massages, and the kids make little Mother's Day gifts, and it really is just a fun weekend. So that's another thing that we do. We provide emergency assistance. We purchase pressure garments, scar garments for people who can't afford them. We have a scholarship program. We have a peer support group. There's only 2 of us that run the organization, and I know Stephanie can kind of identify with that. We are a small organization, but we say we're a small organization with a heart as big as Texas. And it's people like y'all that help us do what we do. And so again, I'm not going to take more time away. I wish I could stay and play. But I'm headed up to Austin because another thing we do is in November we have a teen retreat. When the kids age out of camp, we realized we really didn't have anything for them. And so last year we had our first teen and young adult retreat up in the Austin area. So we're having our fundraiser for that tomorrow. So I'm headed up to Austin tonight. But hopefully I'll see some of y'all again. And once again, thank you so much for letting me come. Stephanie, thank you so much for inviting me. I really appreciate it. And hopefully I'll be able to come and visit with y'all again in June. I won't give the lecture again, and I'll just come and visit. But I hope you enjoy your night, and once again, thank y'all so much for all you do. Trust me, it really makes a difference in the lives of these kids. So thank you so much.